Hey people, so Pixlr made a bunch of recent updates and changes, so I'm going to make another video to show you how to create illustrations of structures or buildings and put gradients in for lights through windows. So let's start from here. Hopefully we all remember how to make like a marbleized background. It's basically just using the brush tool or that draw tool and putting on a couple different colors and then using that liquify tool to like smudge around different pixels. So it's a little glitchy actually. Hopefully they update this again, but there are a couple nice additions that they did. So let's get into it. We are illustrating buildings, so you need to make them on a separate layer. So your marbleized sky background is on one layer. Make a new layer. Hit that little plus button in the layers panel, and then just make empty layers. Right. So we have an empty layer, and I'm selected on that empty layer, and I'm going to hit the shapes tool right here, and you can choose your shapes right here. That's kind of normal. Probably use a rectangle. What changed is now the fill and the outline are up here, and they're not the foreground background color. So you can designate the fill right up here, which is actually more similar to like Photoshop and other applications to edit bitmaps. Anyways, my fill is black. I don't really need an outline. I'm just making silhouettes of buildings. So the other like real big change was this. They added these different modes. So if you're on the draw mode, that's what it used to look like. And you can, I guess even the foreground background changed, right, to that. So yeah, I would just stick on the draw mode for right now because this design mode is being kind of glitchy. I'll show you that in a second. So yeah, if you're like this should be like all kind of like straightforward. I guess your foreground color is your stroke, and we don't really want that. We want our background color to be black, and I just turn the stroke off or the outline to 0. Let's see if I can like zoom in a little bit and pull out a rectangle, right? This is all like pretty normal and old. Remember, you just have to be on like the draw layer, and that allows you to continue to make shapes on one layer. And like if that stroke is coming up, you gotta change the outline. So I wonder if we can go back down. No, I guess I have to Command Z that, and then let's try again. Outline is 0. There we go. All right, so again, it's all in the same layer, and if you try to hit that arrange button and move these around, you can't move them individually, which can be kind of a pain in the butt. You just have to like be careful about where you're placing the shapes before you actually draw them. So I'm going to show you the other one and show you how like glitchy it is. If you're in the design mode, which it should be nice because it'll put a vector shape on each layer. So every time you make a shape, it's supposed to make a new layer. But for some reason, yeah, I'm going to change this to black. For some reason, it is actually making like 6 shapes at once. Like I'm pulling out one shape, and now like you see right away in the layers palette, I have all of these shapes. I don't know where these all came from or why Pixlr thinks that I want all these shapes. It's kind of crazy. I'm just gonna like Command Z that, and you can't even Command Z it and go all the way. Like it thinks that I made how many shapes? That's ridiculous. So for right now, I don't see a reason why you would want to use design. Hit draw, and just like normal, you draw a building. Let's see, I can make triangle roof, right? Let's make another one on here. So again, you have to use geometric shapes, but you want to design little architectural elements so it doesn't look like it was just built with rectangles. So I have something that kind of looks like a building. I might resize it and see if I can like even zoom in and hit the space bar for the hand tool so I can like click and drag to move around, and go back to that shapes tool, regular shape, and draw, not design, draw, and let's see, we can make rectangles like smokestacks, right? And let's see what else we can do. Make it fancy. You could even maybe make them cell phone towers, right? Again, like every time I'm putting a shape on, I can't move it. If I wanted to move it separately, I would have to make a new layer. So let's do that. Let's keep all this on this layer. See, I can even name it structure 1. You have to be able to like organize your layers palette. So anyways, that's my structure number 1. I'm just gonna put it over here for a second and add another one. So I hit new layer, new empty layer, and I am using that shapes button again. And remember, design, no, draw, yes, for right now. And then let's see. Oops, I didn't really like that. My zoom is a little crazy, my mouse. Anyways, let's make another little structure. Actually, let's make a house on stilts. Right. Yeah, okay. Let's add triangle kind of roof. And let's see, everybody likes porches on their elevated houses, right? And of course, if you have a porch on an elevated house, you need a railing so you don't fall off or get pushed off. All right, so anyways, again, the challenge is to design things that look like structures, buildings, just with the geometric shapes. So little architectural elements, just like railings or an antenna, or even like a satellite dish. Maybe you can figure out how to create a satellite dish. Maybe if you draw a shape and then select part of it, delete it, right? Command D. But now it is still a part of that layer. So I wonder if I can select it, Command X, Command V, and that now has it on its own layer, which is cool, right? So if you want to move things individually, you gotta get it on a new layer. And a quick way to do it is, yeah, you can hit like select it with that selection tool, right? Command X, Command V. Now it's on its own layer. I can move it individually. You can even hit Command V again. Now I have another one and should be able to rotate it. Oh, this is the rotate handle in Pixlr. Anyways, trying to make like a little satellite dish. If you don't like the way it's transforming, you can click on it and then let's see, it's edit transform, right? Edit transform, free transform. Let's try to make it a little bit bigger and like rotate it, right? So if you're like rotating it in that transform, you gotta like hover around the corners. Anyways, so that's like my little satellite dish. I'm going to go back to the shapes tool. I just have to apply the transform. Go back to the shapes tool, hit line, and oh, the line is red. So let me change that to black and zoom in a little bit. And let's see, maybe I'll actually just make it a rectangle. Nope, not gonna happen. All right, so I'm gonna have to illustrate it separately and then like cut it and rotate it. All right, so now that's all on different layers. I'm going to cut this piece off, select it, Command X, Command V. Now it's on its own layer and I can edit it individually. Here we go, or rotate it individually. All right, make it a little bit smaller. All right, and let's see, on this thing right here, let's add some more shapes just to attach it to my roof. Okay, so now I have that little part of my satellite dish, the actual satellite dish, and then I have an empty layer that doesn't do anything. So delete that. And this is my structure, or both my structures actually. So what you can do is like merge them down, right? So I'm just gonna merge down. Now all my structures are really on one layer. But if you wanted to like edit them separately, like what I was kind of just showing you before is like you can cut pieces off and put them on different layers just with the selection tool, the marquee selection tool. I'm just going to like select over this house over here on the left, and then I'm just it's edit cut, or Control X, and then edit paste. And when you paste it, it shows up on its own layer. So then you can use that move tool and actually like move it around, resize it, get the other one, select the other layer, and like resize that one. And you have more flexibility if your pieces or your structures, whatever is in your illustration, are on separate layers. So they're not, so you can edit them separately. Like this one, I'd like it to be a little bit more wide, so I can go edit, free transform. Now I have a little bit more flexibility as far as like resizing it. So anyways, those are like my two structures on two separate layers. And we need to cut some holes in it and add some lights for windows, or lights in windows. All right, so I'm going to, which one am I on? Let's do the house on stilts first, right? If you're trying to figure out which layer you're on, you can toggle the visibility on and off, right? So now I'm just gonna like select parts and delete parts for windows. You know, you can just drag out a selection, delete it, drag out another selection, delete it, and I'm just cutting windows, right? So the other way to do it, I guess, might be here. You can make a new selection and then remove part of it. So here we go. I'm gonna like make one big window, right? And then remove from selection. So I'm gonna like cut pieces away from my selection. Right. Super important to be able to like select things in as many different ways as you can. But yeah, I just selected a couple rectangles, windows, hit delete. Now I cut out a couple windows. You can also do that with the ellipse tool, right? Let's put one here. Oh, I guess you have to like deselect. So Command D is deselect. Anytime you see like those little like marching ants, that dotted line, that part is selected. That's the only part that you can edit. So if you need to deselect, to select something else, do anything else, Command D is deselect. Now I'm just going to make a circle selection, right? Hopefully that, that I'm still on remove from selection. So be careful up here. If you're making a new selection, is you can add to the selection or just hold down Shift, right? You can see I'm just touching Shift and you can see it change to add to selection. So you can quickly add to selection. And then if you want to remove from selection, maybe remove that part. Remove that part. That looks kind of cool. Remove that part. Remove that part. Anyways, now I have this like kind of moon shapes, these crescent shapes selected. I'm going to delete them. Right. Hopefully it'll delete for me. Delete. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I cut out some holes from there. Let's go and cut out some holes from this guy right here. So I'm gonna use the layers palette, select on that other layer, and speed this up. I'm gonna make a new selection again. Oh, no, I don't want that. I want a rectangle. So, oops, a little finicky. Still a little finicky. I think it's my mouse. All right. Good. Good. So I'm gonna make like a little jail cell inside of this building to keep everybody who's not doing their homework. All right, so anyways, I made a bunch of selections and deleted them, and I basically, I'm calling them windows, but anyways, we're deleting parts of shapes to create kind of structural elements, right? There we go. I'm gonna hit Command D to deselect, right? Now I have two buildings, different layers, and we're gonna add some lights. So with the gradient tool. So I'm going to add a new layer for my lights, empty layer for my lights, right? And it's like right on top for right now, that's fine. Maybe I'll like kind of zoom in on this building over here. And remember, it's a new blank layer, there's nothing on it. And I'm going to make one of those selections again, just the marquee selection tool, select over a couple windows. Whoops, that was too much. Select over a couple windows. My mouse is nuts. Maybe it is Pixlr because this doesn't happen in Photoshop. All right, here we go. No. I'll get it. All right, there we go. I got my selection over my windows, and I'm adding a gradient within that selection. So gradient tools right here. Now, again, like I am on a blank layer. I'm on a new layer. I'm not illustrating on my other structure layers. So anyways, there's my selection, and this is my gradient toolbar. So linear is good, and this is the gradient preview box. So it's all black right now, so you're gonna have to click it, and then these are like different gradients that you can kind of choose from. But even if you like just see this, that's great. You change the color yourself. So these are like the nodes, and you can like select a node and then select a color. And yellow is a good go-to light color, right? But the other side, you need to be able to change the transparency or the opacity of the other side. So we click that other node and then change the opacity and change the opacity down. So now we have our gradient goes from like yellow to nothing, just fades out. Once you have that there, then you can click and drag to make your gradient. If you like it that way, or maybe you might like that way, or that way. So that's it. That's your gradient. It's on its own layer, and it's supposed to look like lights coming out of your windows, but it's on top of your building layer. So you just like reorder the layers by clicking and dragging. I'm going to take that light layer and scoot it down underneath my building layers, and you know, you can still move it around and kind of position it, but it is on its own layer underneath my building layers. We got these other like little moon ones up here, so let's see if we can't select those. I'm going to hit deselect, and the ellipse tool. I am still on that like lights layer down here. Gonna make a selection over there, hold down shift, make another selection, hold down shift, make that selection. All right, so now I got those selected and hit a gradient. Gradient. Oh, it doesn't save the gradient. All right, so anyways, you pick your color, like click the node and then change the color you want. Let's make them red on one side and then transparent on the other side. So it doesn't even matter like what the other color is, because you want the other color to be transparent or zero opacity. And then you can like click and drag, and it'll fill with your gradient. Let's see. There you go. All right, that looks cool. And that little bit of transparency lets you kind of see through to that background layer, which is kind of nice. But yeah, you absolutely need to be able to control transparency in gradients. Anyways, let's do like another one over here. This advertisement. All right, so I guess that's it. And I'm not going to move around these anymore. If you were going to move around, you might want to like make a new layer. Let's do that, make a new empty layer. And then this one will be the lights for this one, right? Oh no, the other one. Anyways, new layer, making a selection over windows that fits. Command D is deselect. Rectangle, so I'm gonna make a rectangular selection, right? And once you have that rectangular selection, hit the gradient. Here we go. Click on the gradient preview box up here, so you can change around your color, right? So you click a node and then you change your color. Let's make these like orange. Okay, and then the other node, doesn't matter what color it is, it matters that it's transparent. So you take the opacity all the way down and you can click and put your gradient on. You can put even multiple ones. So yeah, that's it. Now I have my like gradient lights that were contained within a selection over here. You can see like if you didn't have a selection, it would go over the whole canvas. So you don't necessarily want to do that. You want to be able to like control gradients within a selection or a certain area, wherever you decide. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to now just move that layer, boop, down. And now I have some kind of like orange light coming out of my castle with cell phone towers. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I might say that I should have like a ground or something down here. It's up to you to add other details to your illustration. But again, you just got to kind of work with the shapes and the gradient tool. Like zoom out. In creative ways. And again, like the layers palette is going to give you flexibility to kind of change things, move things, transform things, and then also order things as far as like what's on top and what's on bottom. That's it. Hope that helped. Again, like recap, when you're making new layers, just empty layers is fine. And until Pixlr figures out, or I figure out, why design mode is making like 6 shapes at once, use draw. You just have to use draw, right? Message me if you have questions.